Yeah, Jordan, we're not going just yet.
Oh, okay.
Okay, we're live now. So go ahead and go, Jordan.
Shabbat Shalom, everyone. Welcome to Temple Bethel's Facebook Live service. I'm Jordan Harris, chair of the Ritual Committee. Today's service will be a little different than we're used to. Kenner Fine's taking a few days off to recuperate, a well-deserved vacation. And tonight we welcome Jill Goodman as our cantorial soloist.
Shabbat Shalom.
We want to say Shabbat Shalom to all of our temple members and to anyone who is joining us for the first time. Since we can't say Shabbat Shalom to each other in person, please send us your Shabbat greetings using the chat feature on your screen. During the service, we will announce the page numbers, which will match our Mishkan Tefillah prayer book and the flip book that you can use online. As we progress, use the chat features to express your feelings with emoji buttons. Our opening song is a Nigun by Jill. Okay, please turn to page 258, the prayer for our country. O guardian of life and liberty, may our nation always merit your protection. Teach us to give thanks for what we have by sharing it with those who are in need. Keep our eyes open to the wonders of creation and alert to the care of the earth. May we never be lazy in the work for peace. May we honor those who have died in the defense of our ideals. Grant our leaders wisdom and forbearance. May they govern with justice and compassion. Help us all to appreciate one another and to respect the many ways that we may serve you. May our homes be safe from affliction and strife, and may our country be sound in body and in spirit.
Amen.
Now join as we put words to Jill's melody you just learned. As we sing these words, I want you to think about our friends at Temple Beth Shalom in Spokane, whose synagogue was vandalized with anti-Semitic graffiti. Jill wrote these words last Yom Kippur, but they are very applicable now. The words are on your screen.
May we no longer prejudge our neighbors. Help us find empathy. May we strive harder to find mercy. Help us find dignity. Oh God, help us to find love as a community. Help us find our humanity.
Please join us for the lighting of the Shabbat candles on this Shabbat. We invite Erica Martin for the honor of lighting the candles. The prayer can be found on page 2.
O source of light and love, truth, creator of eternal law of goodness, help us to find the knowledge by which to live. Lead us to take the words we shall speak into our hearts and lives. Bless all who enter this sanctuary in need, and all who bring offerings of their hearts. May our worship lead us to acts of kindness, peace, and love. Baruch atah Adonai, Eloheinu melech haolam, asher kitshanu b'mitzvotav, v'tzivanu, lehadlik ner shel Shabbat.
Thank you, Erica. There are moments in life when we catch our breath and glimpse God's presence. Sometimes it is when we see the radiant face of a sleeping child. Sometimes it is when we hear a fragment of melody that stirs awake an unfamiliar yearning. The moments which flicker for a tantalizing instant and then vanish in a flash convey to us a sense of the divine. To encounter these moments in their fullness and richness, to be aware of their message and hear their music is truly to know God. That is from the book Small Miracles by Yitta Halberstam and Judith Leventhal. We continue on pages 20 and 21 with L'chad Odi. We'll sing verses 1, 2, 5, and 9. On verse 9, please rise and face your room's entranceway to welcome the Shabbat bride.
L'chad Odi likra kala, pnei Shabbat nekabela. 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 Shamor v'zachor b'dibur echad, ishmi'anu el hamiuchad, Adonai echad u'shemo echad, l'shimul tiferet v'lipilah. L'chad Odi likra, pnei Shabbat nekabela. L'chad Odi likra kala, pnei Shabbat nekabela. Ki mekor haberacha, menoros mikedem, nexucha, sof ma'ase b'machshavat tchila. Lecha dodi likrat kala, P'nei Shabbat mekabela, Lecha dodi likrat kala, P'nei Shabbat mekabela. Hitoreri, Kivarech, Kumiori, Uri, Shir Dabiri, Kivol Adonai Halayik Nikla. Lecha dodi likrat kala, P'nei Shabbat Lecha dodi likrat kala, P'nei Shabbat mekabela. Ro'il shalom ateret bala, Gam b'simcha u'v'tzola, Toch emunei am segula, Boi chala. Lecha dodi likrat kala, P'nei Shabbat mekabela. Lecha dodi likrat kala, P'nei Shabbat mekabela.
Please be seated. We conclude this first section of our service with the Chatzi Kaddish on page 26.
Yitgadol Shemei Rabbah.
Amen.
Ve'alma divrach Yirutei, ve'amlich malchutei, V'chayechon u'v'yom echon, u'v'chayin chol Beit Yisrael. Bagala, u'v'zman kariv, ve'yimeru.
Amen.
יהי שמירה במברך, לעלם ולעלמי עלמיה, יתברך, וישתבח, ויתפאר ויתרומם ויתנשא, ויתהלל, שמי לקודשה.
Prechu.
לילה מן כל בירתה ושירתה, תושבחתה ונחמתה, תמירן בעלמה וימרו.
Amen. Please rise for the Baruch, page 28.
Baruch Adonai Hamevarach Le'olam Va'ed.
We continue together in the Hebrew on page 30. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam, asher bidvara ma'ariv aravim, b'chachma pateach sha'arim, u'visvuna mashanei itim, u'mahalif es azmanim, umsader es akochavim, b'mishberoteichem b'rakia kirtsono. B'rei yom v'loyalo, golel or mipnei choshech, v'choshech mipnei or. Umavir yom umevi laila, umavdil bein yom uvein laila, Adonai Tzavaot Shemo. El Chai V'Kayom. Talmid Yimloch Aleinu Le'olam Va'ed. Baruch Atah Adonai Hama'ariv Arovim. Now please turn to the top of page 33 as we read in the English. As you taught Torah to those whose names I bear, teach me Torah too. Its mystery beckons, yet I struggle with its truth. You meant Torah for me. Did you mean me to struggle for me too? Don't let me struggle alone. Help me to understand, to be wise, to listen, to know. Lead me into the mystery. Baruch atah Adonai, Ohev Amo Yisrael. This prayer means a lot to me personally, since I'm desperately trying to learn to chant Torah portions for the Shabbat morning service. Now, let's join Jill in the Shema, page 34. Please rise.
Shema Yisrael, Adonai Eloheinu, Adonai Echad. Baruch Shem Kevod Malchutcha Leolam Vaed.
Please be seated. We'll continue with the V'ahavta, page 36.
אשר אנוכי מצדך היום בלבבך ושיננתם לבונך ודיברתם בשבתך בביתך ובלכתך בדרך ובשכבך ובקומך וקשרתם להיות לידך והיו לטוטפות עיניך וכתבתם על מזוזות ביתך ובשעריך למען תזכרו ועשיתם את כל מצוותיי והייתם קדושים לאלוהיכם אני אדוני אלוהיכם, אשר הוצאתיכם מארץ מצרים, להיות לכם לאלוהים אני, אדוני אלוהיכם.
Adonai Elohechem Emet. Let's read together top of page 39. Standing on the parted shores of history, we still believe what we were taught before ever we stood at Sinai's foot, that wherever we go, it is eternally Egypt, and there is a better place, a promised land, that the winding way to that promise passes through the wilderness, that there is no way to get from here to there except by joining hands and marching together. Please turn to page 40 as we celebrate our freedom from slavery in Egypt with Micha Moha. Now we celebrate the Shabbat with Vishamru, page 44.
ושמרו בני ישראל את השבת, לעשות את השבת לדורותם ברית עולם. ביני ובין בני ישראל אותי לעולם לעולם, כי ששת ימים עשה אדוני את השמיים ואת הארץ, ויום השביעי שבת וינפש.
Please rise and face east for the tefillah, pages 46 to 52.
Adonai sfatai tiftach ufi teilatecha. Adonai, open up my lips, let my mouth may declare your praise. Baruch atah Adonai, Eloheinu, Elohei Avotinu v'Imateinu, Elohei Avraham, Elohei Yitzchak, Elohei Yaakov, Elohei Sarah, Elohei Rivka, Elohei Rachel, Elohei Leah. Ha'el ha'gadol ha'gibor ha'norah, עליון, אומר חסדים טובים, לקונה הכל, לזוכר חסדי אבות ואימהות, ומביא וללב בניהם, למען שמו באהבה. מלך עוזר ומושיע ומגן, ברוך אתה אדוני, מגן אברהם ועזרת שרה. אתה גיבור לעולם אדוני, מחיי הכל את הרע והפושע. משיב הרוח ומוריד הגשם, מחלקי חיים בחסד, מחיי הכל ברחמים רבים. זומק נופלים ורופא חולים, ומתיר אסורים, ומקיים אמונתו לשני עפר. מי כמוך בעל גבורות ומי דומה לך, מלך ממית ומחיה ומצמיח ישועה. ונאמן אתה לך חיות הכל, ברוך אתה אדוני מחיי הכל. אתה קדוש ושמך קדוש, וקדושים בכל יום יהללוך הסלע. ברוך אתה אדוני האל הקדוש.
Please be seated. Bottom of page 54. Our God and God of our ancestors, be pleased with our rest. Sanctify us with your mitzvot and grant us a share in your Torah. Satisfy us with your goodness and gladden us with your salvation. Purify our hearts to serve you in truth. In your gracious love, Adonai, our God, grant our heritage your holy Shabbat, that Israel, who sanctifies your name, may rest on it. Praise to you, Adonai, who sanctifies Shabbat. Baruch atah Adonai, Mekadesh HaShabbat. Join me in the Hebrew, page 57. Ritzei Adonai Eloheinu, B'amcha Yisrael, U'tefillatah ba'ava, Tiskabel Utihi L'Rodson Talmid Avodat Yisrael Amecha. Baruch atah Adonai, Sha'atacha Levadcha Mira Na'avod. Our mode in prayer is the prayer of thanks and gratitude to God. As we have asked each week since this pandemic started, which is now over a year, think of one thing you have seen or done in the past week for which you are thankful, and type in your thoughts. For me, as most of you know, my answer pretty much never changes. I'm thankful for my wife, Judy, who's been putting up with me for over a year now, almost full time. What about you, Jill?
Tonight, I'm particularly grateful for all of our human voices.
Oh, one other thing I'm grateful for. I just got my second COVID shot today. And knock on wood, I'm not sick yet.
Great.
We turn to page 60 for the prayer for peace.
Shalom Rav al Yisrael Amcha, Tassim Leolam. Shalom Rav al Yisrael Amcha, Tassim Leolam. Ki atam melech Adon, lechol hashalom. Ki atam melech Adon, lechol hashalom. Shalom Rav al Yisrael Amcha, Tassim Leolam. Shalom Rav al Yisrael Amcha, Tassim Leolam. Bechol hatov b'einecha levarech et Amcha Yisrael. Bechol עת ובכל שעה בשלומך. Shalom Rav al Yisrael Amcha, Tassim Leolam. Shalom Rav al Yisrael Amcha, Tassim Leolam. Tassim Leolam. Tassim Leolam.
And I ask you now to take a moment for silent prayer.
May the words of my mouth and the meditations of my heart be acceptable to you. Be acceptable to you. Lord, my rock and my redeemer. Lord, my rock and redeemer.
Tonight, the sermon will be presented by Erica Martin.
Shabbat Shalom. Jordan invited me here tonight to talk about the Parashat Shavua, the portion of the Torah from Exodus that we read this week, which is called the Mishpatim. The name Mishpatim means the rules, and it's an appropriate title because this portion is full of them. There are so many interesting, very technical rules. So in this really brief time that I have with you this fine Shabbat evening, I just want to talk about what's in the Torah portion so that you know. To give you a tiny lesson about biblical Hebrew idioms, and then to talk about the equivalence many scholars see in our text between racism and idolatry, which is a really fascinating point. So, what's in this Torah portion? It's the rules, right? It expounds on Jewish laws, some of the earliest Jewish laws that we have in the corpus, including how to treat our workers and our land, accidental versus intentional murder and the different punishments that should go with either one. Pushing pregnant women is a fun bit in this Torah portion. The goring ox. I mean, how do you deal with an ox that one time gores people versus an ox that's habitually going around goring people? There are different standards for these two different kinds of oxes. What else? Bearing false witness, siding with the mighty against the poor. We're reminded twice in the portion, both in 22:20 and 23:9, it says, "You shall not wrong or oppress a stranger, for you were once strangers in the land of Egypt." The portion begins with rules about how and when to set both Israelite and non-Israelite slaves free. And that can be an uncomfortable moment, because our Torah portion is now reminding us that our tradition has deep roots in human bondage and slavery. On the same hand, we see that the Torah portion is working to mitigate the oppression of slavery and to find some way of treating the disempowered humans as slaves and codifying that in the rules that are being put forward. But it's a difficult moment that we really have to grapple with. Exodus 22:21 through 23, which is a part of this portion, is something, I'm going to repeat this verse probably twice while we're talking tonight. It says, "You shall not abuse any widow or orphan. If you do abuse them, when they cry out to me, I will surely hear their cry. My wrath will burn." That pair, the widow and the orphan, you've been listening to Torah your whole life, you've heard it. It often is coming up, this widow and orphan pair. What I'm here to tell you is we're not talking about particular widows and orphans. This is an idiom. This is an expression in biblical Hebrew. There's an expression in many languages that we call a merism. That's the vocab for tonight. A merism is an expression that refers to the totality of something by its extremes. Like we might say in English that I searched for my keys from high to low. We're not saying we didn't search the middle. We did. The high to low is a merism. It expresses the totality of the extreme, right? I looked from near to far. You also looked in between. In biblical Hebrew, when we talk about, they say from Dan to Beersheba, they mean from the top of the map to the bottom, they mean all of Israel. Again, when we talk about the blind and the lame, that's another biblical idiom that is this merism. Blind and the lame doesn't mean just people who have an eye injury and a foot injury. It means, as we'd say in English, tip to toe, right? Head to toe, anywhere that there is a problem with the body, an infirmity with the body, that's who we're talking about. So widow and orphan in our verse. The widow and the orphan are the extremes of the merism, meant to explain that this is referring to the most vulnerable among us, the most disenfranchised, the most vulnerable in our society. Whenever we speak the widow and orphan in the Hebrew Bible, we're meaning that entire gamut of people who can be oppressed and are easily oppressed and forgotten. So I think it's super appropriate that we're reading these rules about how we treat the most disenfranchised among us in Black History Month in February right now. The month that we can take this moment to reflect on the ways Black people have been and continue to be oppressed in our society and what the Torah calls us to do about it. And I want to remind us, I want to remind myself that the portion's title is The Rules. It's not the good advice. It's not the maybe you wanna, it's the rules. And that's made super clear in the verse. I'm going to repeat it again. You shall not abuse any widow or orphan. If you do abuse them, when they cry out to me, I will surely hear their cry. My wrath will burn. I think it's unpopular to talk about God's wrath. I certainly don't spend much time talking about it, and I talk about Torah all the time for a living. However, this is a fascinating moment where the concept of God's wrath emerges right here in our Torah portion. This expression I'm translating, my wrath will burn, the Hebrew is v'hara api. It's a very particular expression of divine anger. Maimonides teaches us that this kind of divine wrath is reserved for cases of idolatry on the part of the entire nation. God's wrath, hara api, kind of God's wrath, will only occur, says Maimonides, in cases of idolatry on the part of the entire nation, which would mean that is being applied to acts of racism, acts of oppression of the poor and the marginalized within us in this verse, right? Acts of oppression against the poor, marginalized, and oppressed within us are being equated with the worst kind of idolatry in this portion. Both Abraham Joshua Heschel and Nahama Leibovitz stress, based on our ancient tradition, that being silent in the face of oppression is as serious as committing the act ourselves. So I appreciate that this Torah portion brings that right to the fore, right in front of me, because a lot of these rules are arcane and they seem irrelevant to my life. I have never argued with a neighbor over a goring ox, neither habitually or occasionally, right? I don't live in places where people go around pushing pregnant women. However, these commandments regarding respect and care of the stranger, the widow, the orphan, all the marginalized and disenfranchised in our society, well, those are very personal to me. I have the opportunity to live up to these rules every day. And Be'ezrat Hashem, with God's help, I will. Thank you and Shabbat Shalom.
Thank you very much, Erica. That was very interesting. I'll have to control my ox better. I learned a new word. If you guys want to hear more from her, attend her adult education courses on Sunday morning. And now we call upon Barbara Aqua from the Temple Board of Trustees to share some announcements. Barbara?
I'm here. Do you have me?
You got the
There I am.
announcements?
Okay, I do. Okay. Shabbat Shalom, everybody. Thank you to every one of you who joined us this evening. Thank you to Jill Goodman for leading us with your wonderful voice this evening and allowing Cantor Fine to take a well-deserved break. Thank you to Jordan Harris for co-leading us this evening. And thank you to Erica Martin for a wonderful sermon. It was very meaningful. I want to wish everybody a happy snow day. I hope everybody is safe and sound and warm and cozy in their homes and have lots of food stocked up. We have a great many opportunities to gather, learn, and celebrate over the next week. All of the events except for the Friday evening services are on Zoom. The only place to find the Zoom links is the Shabbat Shalom email that is sent out every Thursday. Friday services will continue to be made available on both Facebook Live and YouTube. Tomorrow we have Torah study at 9 a.m. and Torah study service at 10 a.m. Rabbi Cadden will help lead the Torah study and co-lead the service with Jeff Friedman. Zoom Havdalah will be tomorrow at 7:30 p.m. Join to say goodbye to Shabbat and Shmooze. The February board meeting will be next Tuesday at 6 p.m. We are very excited to announce the return of the Family Shabbat service. This will occur on the third Friday of the month, beginning on Friday, February 19th. This service is for the tots as well as the older siblings. The service will be led by Cantor Fine and Madrachim teams. Join us for a combination of singing, dancing, breakout room, projects and discussions, and more. Come and celebrate Shabbat without even leaving your home. Please pass the word on to our young families. There will be a virtual Purim Carnival on Sunday, February 21st. More details to follow. We need volunteers to help with the virtual Purim Carnival. Please contact Dan Miller or Leslie Bright if you are able to help with any of the planned activities. The transition team will be holding a special congregational meeting to offer an update on the transition process, including the reveal of the report created by Rabbi Allison Flash. This will be on Tuesday, February 23rd at 6 p.m. That same evening at 7 p.m. will be the monthly Interfaith Encounters gathering. You are invited to the Purim Megillah reading and Purim spiel of Oik Lahoma on Thursday, February 25th, beginning at 7 p.m. on Zoom. Wrestle yourself up some vittles and join in the fun. More details and a Zoom link will be sent out soon. You still have time to place your Purim box order with Sisterhood. Time is running out. Orders are due Tuesday, February 16th and can be placed online. If needed, there is a paper form. It can be found on the January and February bulletin. All TBE members receive a box. Boxes will be ready for drive-through pickup at Temple Bethel on Thursday, February 25th from 3 to 6 p.m. or Friday, February 26th from 10 a.m. to 1 p.m. Temple Bethel continues to be closed. We are currently not allowing any in-person meetings with clergy or staff. At least one staff member will be in the office during the usual business hours, Tuesday through Friday, so that you can also call the office if needed, but there are no drop-ins allowed at this time. We will assess any possible changes as Pierce County is now this state's phase 2 and communicate any plans and changes to the community. As always, if you need help or are willing to help those in need, please contact Temple Bethel clergy, staff, or leadership. Shabbat Shalom. Please stay safe and healthy.
Thank you, Barbara. We continue with our prayer for healing. Please write in the names of those you're thinking of who need our healing prayer. And don't forget the thousands and thousands of people who have COVID. And our healing prayer, and our we will sing Misha Berach on page 294.
Misha Berach Avotenu Mikor HaBracha Leimotenu. Give us source of strength who bless the ones before us. Help us find the courage to make our lives a blessing, and let us say Amen. Misheferach imotenu mikor habracha leotenu. Bless those in need of healing with refuah shlema, the renewal of body, the renewal of spirit, and let us say Amen.
I think I gave you the wrong page number. Please rise for the Elena, pages 282 and 284.
עלינו לשבח לאדון הכל, לתת גדולה ליוצר בראשית, שלא עשנו כגויי הארצות, ולא שמנו כמשפחות האדמה, שלא שמחנו כהם, וגורלנו ככל המונם, ואנחנו קוראים ומשתחווים ומודים לפני מלך מלכי המלכים הקדוש ברוך הוא. Please be seated. שהוא נוטה שמיים ויוסד הארץ, ומושב יקרו בשמיים ממעל, ושכינתו זו בקודש מרוממים. הוא אלוהינו אינות, אם מתמלכנו את זולתו, כך כתוב בתורתו, לידע היום והשבות בלבבך, כי אדוני הוא אלוהים בשמיים ממעל, ועל הארץ מתחת. אין עוד.
Let us adore the ever-living God and render praise unto you, who spreads out the heavens above, and whose greatness is manifest throughout the world. You are our God, there is none else. Page 287.
ונאמר Adonai למלך על כל הארץ, ביום ההוא יהיה אדוני אחד, ושמו אחד.
Now let's turn to page 294 for the mourner's Kaddish. And before reading the Kaddish, Jill will sing her beautiful song, They Within Me.
Sitting into the inner and outer of this moment, thinking of people no longer in physical form, who touched my life, shared my life, enriched, illumined, held my life. Too many resting in the cemetery of my mind, but they do not lie down in rows, put away like books on shelves. They move and speak within me, wearing their faces, sitting into the inner and outer of this moment. Their souls now in worlds I do not know, yet I hold pieces, jewels, traces of soul presence, held by the sparkling threads of old time. But they do not lie down in rows, put away like books on shelves. They move and speak within me, wearing their faces on me, their voices through me, soul presence held by the sparkling threads of old time. But they do not lie down in rows, put away like books on shelves. They move and speak within me, wearing their faces
First, I'll ask to rise anyone who is mourning the loss of a loved one in the past days, weeks, or months, or who's observing a yortzeit on this Shabbat. Now I would like to all of you to rise as we mourn for those who have died from COVID-19. We are getting very close to 500,000 deaths just here in the United States. Please use the chat feature to write in the names of those who you wish to remember this Shabbat. To the mourners, we say, Hamakom Yivnechem Echem B'toch Sha'ar Alei Mitzyon V'Yerushalayim. May God console you with all who mourn in Zion and Jerusalem. We do have one person sitting Shiva. For those who have not heard, Brad Seinfeld's mother, Mildred Seinfeld, died this past Wednesday. In addition, in our community, in the period of Saloshim, we remember Esther Kosen, wife of Buddy Kosen, and Ada Fasnach, Debbie Friedman's mother. Yortzites this week are Samuel Amor, Gisela Ashkenazi, Annie Berkowitz, Celia Burnett, Henry Hank Edenfield, Felicia Ehrlich, Adolf Frankel, Sam Gelman, Maureen Gilbert, William Goldfein, Irene Hamlin, Ruth Hollander, Lily Kenner, Fred Kohler, Mary Lacey, Harold Langford, Carl Mangel, Lowell Matten, Anna Meyer Siegel, Rebecca Meshner, Gerald Michelson, Harold Pliskow, David Robinson, Abraham Rose, Carl Rosenthal, Morley Schreiber, Harold Siegel, Harold Steinman, Reva Stillerman, Jack Weinstein, Oscar Weston, Joan Williams, Herman Wolfson. Mourner's Cottage, 294. Bear with me a second. Yiskada v'yiskada shemei rabba v'elamod ivrach hurutei v'amlich mahutei v'chaye hon of yomei v'chaye d'chol beit Yisrael b'agalam v'zman korim v'imru amen. Yehei shmei rabba mivarach le'olam olamei omayah. Yitbarak v'yishtabak v'yitbarar v'yitroman v'yitnaseh V'yet adar, v'yet alev, v'yet Allah, shemeda kudishah, priyachu. Le'ela mim kol birchota v'shirata, tush b'chata v'nechemata, damirom v'yalama v'yamru amen. Yehesh shlomo rabba min shemayo, v'hayim olenu v'al kol Yisrael, v'yamru amen. Oseh shalom b'mramav, hu yaseh shalom, Olenu v'al kol Yisrael v'yimru amen. Now for our thank yous. I want to thank Erica Martin for doing double duty on the lighting of the candles and giving such a wonderful sermon. And of course to Aaron Peterson for the Zoom coordination and behind the scenes preparation to make sure these services run smoothly. And last, but certainly not least, I would like to thank Jill Goodman for a beautiful melodic evening. And let's see, the final song will be Adon Olam on page 32, and I'm very interested in hearing what melody Jill chooses for our closing song.
It'll be on page 321. And another thank you to Jordan for leading us tonight and for putting together this lovely service. So this is an oldie but goodie on the melodies, so hopefully everyone can sing along. Adon Olam Hashem Alach B'terem Kol Yitzir Nivra Leib Nasa Yam Shiloh, Lahachira, Veli Rishit, Veli Tachlit, Velo Haoz, Lahamizrah, Lehueli, Lechaikoali, Letzor Hedli, Leitzara, Lehunisi, Umanosli, Nenachkosi, Leyomekra, Leyavato, Avkid Ruchi, Leitishon, Ledon, Leyaira, Leimorochi, Leyati, Adonai li, Veloira.
And please rise for the Kiddush on page 5, followed by the Chamotzi, 302.
Baruch Adonai, Eloheinu melech haolam, Pari hagafen. Baruch Adonai, Eloheinu melech haolam, Asher kitshanu b'mitzvotav, l'ratzonu, v'shabbat kodsho, v'ahavov ratzon, inchianu, zikaron lema'aseh reshit, ki hu yom tefillah, l'nikrah kodesh, zecher tziat Mitzrayim, kivanu v'chavta, v'atanu kidashta, mikol ha'amim, v'shabbat shecha, ve'ahavov ratzon, inchatanu, Baruch atah Adonai, Mekadesh HaShabbat. L'chaim.
L'chaim.
Baruch atah Adonai, Eloheinu melech haolam, hamotzi lechem min haaretz, v'te'avon. Bon appetit.
Shabbat Shalom, everybody.
Shabbat shalom.